Hello and welcome to the Zwift Race Place. I'm Cade Freeville, back with another Wednesday weekly upload. Today, with the dawn of the new ZRL season, we're bringing you an intro to ZRL Season 4, I believe it is. We've got a lot to get into today, so let's get started right away with time zones for this season of the ZRL. So most of the time zones will be the same as last year, with the addition of an Atlantic time zone. Zwift says this is aimed at early morning East Coasters, and an EMEA Central time zone. So these should add, it should declutter some of the time zones for one thing, and make the ZRL more convenient for more riders across the globe. So overall, I think that is definitely a positive in terms of changes this year. The other things we've noted in the time zone section of the rules is that there's going to be a lot of clock changes during this year's ZRL 3, in fact. So time zones, the times of your races will be locked in based on the gold-colored cities on the sheet. So if you look at your time zone, find the gold-shaded city, that is the city that your race time will be locked into. Check out the WTRL website for more on that if you're still confused. Alright, the second thing I wanted to take a look at was the provisional schedule. And I say provisional because we really don't know too much about this quite yet. I do know that there's going to be 3 Watopia routes, 2 from the new Macquarie world, 1 from France, 1 from Yorkshire, and 1 from London. So we've got a good mix of worlds there. And it's great to see that the new Macquarie Islands made it into the cut for this season's ZRL. And the other thing to note is that we're going to have 4 flat and 4 hilly courses. So a good mix for climbers and sprinters. I will say, though, that none of the climbs are too huge. Most of the hilly courses stay with pretty small climbs. We don't have anything as big as the Epic KOM, Alpe Zwift, or Vento, if you're looking at any of those. The average distance for the courses this year, 38.2 kilometers, or 23.7 miles. The longest race we're going to see is on Caspat, 46.6 kilometers, or 28.9 miles. And the shortest is on the Watopia's waistband and the figure 8 reverse, both of those coming in at 30 kilometers, or 18.6 miles. And I believe that those are both prologue races or qualifying races, which are the first 2 races of the season and will be used to sort teams into their respective divisions within categories. Moving on to the race formats, we're going to have 6 points races and 2 team time trials, and then an additional 1 points race and team time trial in the playoffs. So playoff invitations go to the top 2 teams in categories B, C, and D, and then the top team in A1. The top teams in A1 will compete for a spot in the Premier Division for the next season. Like I said before, we're going to have 2 qualifying races. I think I mentioned that earlier. Something to note on intermediates, Zwift has not released these into the schedule yet, so I'm assuming that we'll see these coming out on the WTRL website pretty soon. Just watch the provisional schedule for that on the WTRL website. Alright, next section is rules and classification. WTRL and Zwift released a bit of a more complete set of rules this year. Last year there was a good body of text outlining the rules on the website. But this year we have a 16-page PDF, so I looked over that, read through it, and picked out the most important things that you really need to know for this year's racing. First, you're going to have to register with WTRL and Zwift Power, use correct height and weight, and have and use working equipment. All the basics, don't cheat. The things you're going to have to do before and after the race. After the race, any protests to the results must be sent in by the team captain. Team captain only. WTRL doesn't want to get 1,000 emails from individual racers. If you have a complaint, talk to your team captain. They'll send in the email to racecontrol@wtrl.racing. Again, that's racecontrol@wtrl.racing. I will put that in the description below. And that email must consist of your team name, links to the Zwift.com activity, rider ID number, and the event ID for that race. You must also weigh in your racing kit before the race and use that weight for the race. I believe I saw on the rules that you have to be accurate to a quarter of a pound. That's 0.25 pounds. And I'm not sure what that is in kilograms. Next section on the rules, eligibility. A squad can consist of up to 12 riders. So team captains, you can register up to 12 riders on your squad. And you're going to need a minimum of 4 and a maximum of 6 for each race. Riders must attach their team name to the end of their names, like the end of their Zwift names. I thought that was interesting, just for distinction this year. Another thing I found interesting, I believe this was a change from last year, is teams must choose a kit and wear it all season. Same kit, no changing to try and confuse other teams. I thought that was a good addition to the rules. Racers cannot race down categories, but they can race up. So a B can't race in the C's, but a D could. And obviously you can race in the category that you are as well. Any rider who exceeds category limits prior to completing 4 races will be forced to upgrade. That's the same as last year. Division A cannot use Z power. Division B, C, D can, but will only receive 50% of their points. Division A riders must wear a heart rate monitor. Again, Division B, C, D, different riders can, but if they don't, they only receive 50% of their points. Wearing a heart rate monitor during a TTT is not required, but is recommended. And trainers must be spun down before every race. I believe that was a new addition to the rule. Finally, in the eligibility, teams are subject to performance review at any time, which means basically they just have the power to verify that you're not cheating at any time during the season. Then we have some specific race format rules for the team time trial. There's going to be a 30-second penalty for any team that starts early. Team time is taken from that of the 4th rider. No interfering with other teams after having been dropped. And when passing another team, you must speed up. When being passed, you must slow down. Basic etiquette in terms of team time trials. That's not really anything new from last time. Alright, our last thing we need to take a look at here today is scoring. So I'm going to switch over to this scene here. So this is for rider finishing position in scratch races. As you can see, first place gets 40, second 35, on down 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, all the way down to 10th place. And then we have it grouped into other categories on here. So I believe that's 11th to 15th, 15th to 20th, 21st to 25th, and on down the line, more or less like that. Once we get to 84th and over, that's only 1 point. And those in between go 2019, 18, 17, and so on. So one at a time. The next thing we need to take a look at is this here, which are the intermediate points. As I discussed earlier, we don't have a list of intermediates yet, but once those come out, we have the first across the line intermediates and the fastest through intermediates. There's a bit of a distinction between those. First across the line are for the first rider that crosses the line on an intermediate, any intermediate during the race, and can be earned per lap, as mentioned here. So you can earn one of those for every lap on the course. Fastest have to do with the fastest time from the start of the intermediate to the finish line of the intermediate. You don't have to cross the line first, and only one of those per intermediate for the whole race. So you're not getting points per lap on those. And you can see this is just to 10 places. No points for intermediates after that. And the first place points for first across the line is 10, and doubled for fastest through 20. And then it goes on down in first across the line, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and so on. Fastest, you've got 20, 15, 10, and then 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's the way that's going to work. We can switch now to, this is the league results. So this is how you're scored as a team, and this is what contributes to the overall standings. And I'm sure you're probably asking, what about TTTs? Those are going to be scored on the same as this. First place team will get 20 points, 19, 18, 17, 16, and so down the line. But then after you finished racing, scratch race or TTT, the team with the most points in total will be scored based on this. So the team with the most points gets 20 points towards the league. The team with the second most gets 19 points towards the league. The team with the third most gets 18 points towards the league, and so on and on, all the way down to the 20th team if you have that many teams racing in your division. So that's the way that's going to work, and these are the points that really matter for the overall series. The others are earned by individuals and count towards this. So you're trying to earn points as an individual to get points for your team, which is on this chart here. Alright, I think I've covered just about everything you need to know for the Zwift Racing League Season 4. If you have any questions, please leave those in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the Zwift Race Place for more content like this, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. We'll see you next Wednesday on the Zwift Race Place.